The coffee pot trembled in Grace Miller's hand as she overheard their whispers. 3 men in the corner booth, eyes as cold as steel. When he orders his usual black coffee, no sugar, we make our move. The words hit her like ice water. The Hells Angels president was about to walk through that door. Completely unaware, 3 men were waiting to end his life over a habit as simple as his morning order. Without thinking, Grace leaned closer and whispered the 2 words that would change everything. Don't talk. The bell over the door of the Crossroads Diner jingled as Grace refilled sugar shakers for the 3rd time that Thursday morning. Usually, mornings were quiet locals, truckers, a few bikers rolling through. But today, something was off. The air felt tight-charged, like the few seconds before a lightning strike. She'd worked here for 3 years, long enough to recognize every regular and tell a drifter from a rider who'd come to rest his wheels for a while. Booth 9 was trouble. 3 men sat there, spread out at first, arriving one by one, no patches on their leather. No club ID. That was her first red flag. In the biker world, showing up without colors was like walking into a poker game with your face covered. It meant you were hiding something. They barely touched their food. The youngest, maybe 25, kept checking his phone every few minutes. The bulkier one, with a scorpion tattoo on his neck, never stopped watching the front door. The oldest gray beard, dusty eyes kept tapping his fork against the plate, the rhythm crawling straight under her skin. Trix needs a warm-up, shouted Ray, the cook, snapping her out of her thoughts. Grace grabbed the coffee pod and crossed the floor. As she passed Booth 9, she caught it. The moment he orders black coffee, no sugar, we move. Her heart froze. She knew the voice they were waiting for. Cole Reaper Daniels, president of the Hells Angels Arizona chapter. Same routine, every Thursday at 9:30. Black coffee, 2 eggs over easy, and exactly $20 left on the counter before he left. Polite, but every rumor said he was one of the most dangerous men in 3 counties. Then came the sound she'd been dreading, the deep rumble of Harley engines rolling into the parking lot. 5 bikes, chrome gleaming in the morning light, their jackets bold with the red and white death's head patch of Hells Angels. At the front rode Cole Daniels himself, around 50, silver streaking his dark beard, eye sharp enough to slice through the room in one glance. He walked in with the calm swagger of a man who already survived everything life could throw at him. His crew fanned out near exits, casually watching everything. Cole slid onto his usual stool, nodded to old Martha at the register, and smiled that dangerous, easy smile. Grace's blood ran cold. In Booth 9, all 3 men stiffened. The scorpion-necked one's hand vanished under his coat. Graybeard's fingers clenched around his mug. The young one's leg bounced like a timer was running out. Cole lifted the menu, already knowing what he'd say next. "Morning, Grace," he greeted, his voice steady and warm. The usual. Grace's hand shook. She leaned in close with her brightest dangler smile. "Morning, Cole. The usual?" He nodded once, about to say it. About to die. Grace leaned in, pretending to pour his coffee, her lips barely moving. "Don't talk." Cole froze, coffee cup midair. His eyes shot up, locking onto hers. Recognition. Trust. A long tense beat stretched between them before he spoke. "You know what? Think I'll stick with just the coffee for now. Need a minute to look at the menu." At Booth 9, confusion flickered. The killers exchanged glances, no cue, no signal, no plan. Grace stepped back, forcing herself to breathe. No one else knew what she'd just done, but Cole did. The way his gaze followed her said everything. She'd just saved the most feared biker in Arizona. When the diner finally emptied that night, the only people left were Grace, Cole, and his men. "Grace," Cole said softly from the counter, "come sit with me." Up close, his presence was like gravity steady, quiet, unshakable. "Why'd you tell me not to talk?" Grace told him everything. The whispers, the plan, the code phrase. Cole listened without blinking. When she finished, he asked, "Why risk it?" "You could have looked the other way." "Because they would have killed you," she said simply, "and probably anyone else in here." That didn't sit right with me. For the first time, Cole smiled, a real one. "You've got guts, Grace. The guts like that get people killed." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "We know who you are. We know where you live. This isn't over." Cole stood instantly. "Ghost, we're taking her to the compound. Now." She blinked. "What's happening?" Cole's grin turned cold. "Someone just made a big mistake. Nobody threatens what's mine." 3 days later, Grace stood in the main hall of the Hells Angels compound. "We end this tomorrow night," Cole said, spreading maps across a table. "At the Devil's Run rally, 5,000 riders. Perfect cover." Grace frowned. "You're using me as bait," Cole smirked. "Bait with teeth." He placed a tracker and comms device in her hand. "You won't be alone. Not for a second." When she asked what happened after all this, his answer was quiet but final. "You saved my life. In my world, that means your family now." Under the desert night, engines roared like thunder. Thousands of bikes surrounded them in every direction. Grace moved through the crowd, jeans, leather jacket, trying to blend in. "Breathe," Cole whispered. "They're watching you." Southeast corner, Ghost's voice crackled in her ear. Scorpion Neck just arrived. Minutes later, she walked toward the maintenance yard alone. "Nice bikes," a gruff voice rasped behind her. She turned. Scorpion Neck. Graybeard, the kid. "You're coming with us," Scorpion said, reaching inside his coat. Before he could pull the gun, shadows erupted around him. The sound of cocked weapons followed. Cole stepped forward, his presence unmistakable. "I believe you wanted a conversation, gentlemen." 2 weeks after the rally, Grace sat in that same diner. The crossroads looked renewed, brighter somehow. A couple angels sat near the counter, always watching the door. Cole slid into the booth across from her. "You thinking about those 3? Grace nodded. "They told us everything," Cole said. "Nevada crew. Wrong territory." He pulled a small box from his jacket and placed it on the table. Inside a silver medallion marked with the Hells Angels insignia. "What does this mean?" she asked. "It means you're family now, not by blood, by choice." "And if I ever want to leave?" Cole's laugh was low, almost tender. "You stopped being an outsider the moment you whispered. Don't talk. There's no walking away from family." Grace looked around the quiet diner, the hum of the highway, the life she'd stumbled into. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. "To good instincts," Cole said, raising his coffee cup. Grace smiled and raised hers. "To good instincts." Outside, life went on like nothing happened. Inside, a waitress and a biker president drank coffee under buzzing diner lights, bound forever by a whisper that changed everything. If this story stirred something in you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Hidden Heroes, where stories of courage, loyalty, and instinct remind us heroes come in all forms, and sometimes the quietest voices change everything.